college football. But we also saw this. Ben Roethlisberger turned some heads during his first preseason game with new offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Big Ben went 8 of 10 for 137 yards and a pair of touchdowns in the Steelers' 26-20 win over the Lions. And over the weekend, Skip tweeted this: Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a big year. Shannon, what do you got there? How do you respond to Skip's tweet? Do you agree?
Hell, he had a big year last year. Threw 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns in 15 games. But his ability, you see how the ball hung up in there, Skip, on that deep throw. I'm not going to put a whole lot of confidence in this because the Lions did not start their front seven. And so Ben looked good. I mean, he was 8 of 10 for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I don't know how good the Lions front seven is going to, the starting front seven is going to look. But Skip, until they push the ball down the field, and I see them consistently do that, but as we sit here right now and we discuss this topic, I still believe the Ravens and I still believe the Browns are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they had a little problem last year protecting Ben. Pouncey retired. They released Villanueva, left tackle, and DeCastro, guard. 2 of the 3 of those guys made the Pro Bowl last year. So it's going to be very interesting how they protect Big Ben. We know Big Ben is taking this year, he's high on the list as far as most sacked quarterbacks in NFL history. And with basically he's starting, 4, 5, maybe even 5 new offensive linemen. I'm going to say, I'm not convinced, but I'm going to say they don't make the playoffs.
Okay. So I watched this preseason game the other night. I get everything you said about the Lions didn't start him and him and him and him. But I tested Ben Roethlisberger, and he looked a whole lot like Ben Roethlisberger to me. He looked like a Ben who's turned 39 but is starting to figure it out the way Brady figured it out. He looks his body looks a lot better. I don't know what he's doing nutrition-wise. I don't know what he did the offseason exercise-wise, fitness-wise. He just looked better. He looked fresh, and his arm definitely looked livelier than it did last year when, I remind you, they somehow got to 11-0 last year. I don't know how, but he was throwing puffballs all year because he was coming off having 3 tendons repaired in his throwing elbow. That's no good. And I don't think he was quite ready to play last year, and he looks a whole lot readier this year. And this year, they gave him a new toy. They gave him the running back's best friend.
Now, I do like him.
He is something, man. You can just see it. You can just watch him for a couple plays. You say, that young man can play.
I wouldn't be surprised if
We're talking about Najee
Harris. I wouldn't be surprised if he caught somewhere between 50 and 70 balls.
He can catch it. He can run it. He just looks like he belongs in the National Football League. He's not afraid. He knows how. I just like his body language. He looks like a veteran back as a rookie.
I think the thing is, Skip, last year, because they could not run the football, it put more pressure on Ben to have to be better than what he really needed to be.
To your point, they were dead last in rushing last year. Dead last.
I mean, Skip, you can't be, at some point in time, you got 3rd and 1, you got 4th and 1. Skip, you can't be trying to throw the ball. You just got to turn around and just hand the ball out and say, go get me a yard, son.
Okay. So what did we see? Let's look at the throws that he made the other night. And the first one was, you can say it's lack of arm strength, or was it just a smart throw where he had to throw it underneath and between the DBs and the safety? It's a 43-yarder to Deontay Johnson.
Go down like that.
Okay. But he dropped it right where he had to drop it.
Patrick Mahomes, that's a touchdown.
Is it?
Brady, that's a touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You even gave Brady that.
Yeah, Brady, that's a touchdown. He going to hit Chris Godwin or Mike Evans in stride. That's a tub.
But then he throws 2 touchdown passes to that rookie that they got in the 2nd round out of Penn State, Pat Freiermuth. And could we see those 2, please? He throws a quick, that's classic Roethlisberger, big pump fake, and it faked out the TV camera. Yep. I thought it had a little mustard on it. And this kid's your basic 6'5", and you know he's a big red zone target.
Yeah, I think he's going. I think he's going to start over Ebron.
I know, but they still got Ebron.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They got Deontay Johnson, and obviously they've got Chase Claypool, and they still got that guy named Juju, right? So I think they got weapons, and they got a running back, and their defense is pretty good.
Corvette moving a little slow now, though, Skip.
Yeah.
Them TikTok videos, I don't know.
I don't know.
Might have to slow those down a little
Okay,
bit.
but if he's your third receiver, can he play? Can he contribute?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure he can. So to me, Ben is looking like he just could be the best quarterback in that division once again. Well, he could be.
So what
I'm a Baker fan. I'm a Lamar fan, but Ben is Ben, man.
And Lamar's Lamar.
Yeah. Well, is Ben not on the way to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
Yes.
But, Skip, Lamar is to be dealt with now.
Okay, but who would you trust under fire in a big playoff game the most in that division? If he's 94% healthier than he was last year, wouldn't you trust Ben over those guys?
I would, but I think the Ravens have a better overall team. We're going to talk about Baker, I think, a little bit here, Skip. And I think what the Browns have done for Baker, if they don't get it done now, Skip, they got one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines. They got a solid running game. Odell's back healthy with Jarvis and Higgins.
Hey, they pretty much have it all.
They do.
I watched them yesterday.
They do.
Baker didn't play, but, man, they're just loaded.
But, Skip, if they don't get it done,
Yep.
it's on your guy.
Okay, I got that, and I agree with that. This is his big year, and he said something yesterday about I've tuned out all the noise. I don't.
Skip,
think
he said it every year.
No,
Why you got to start your press conference off every year? I don't worry about the distractors. I don't worry about the haters. Every year, it seems like that's what you worry about.
Week 4, he's firing back at Colin Cowherd or somebody, right? Which is great.
Yeah.
You know, great for us, but I think it's great for Baker.
It's not great for his team either.
Yeah, no, I agree. But again, Lamar has more to prove in the postseason. You know, he finally won a playoff game.
Right.
And then he came up a little short, but he got dinged up in Buffalo.
He's coming off of COVID. We see how that's going to impact. I don't know if he's going to play. This is the last preseason game.
Yep.
They get an extra week off, Skip, because, you know, normally they have 4 preseason games, so they would be playing another preseason game next week.
Yep.
But now, since there's only 3 preseason games, you get an extra week in between the last preseason game and the first regular season game.
Yep.
So I'm sure, is he going to play this week? Because he haven't played in the preseason. Is Harbaugh going to let him get a series, 2 series? Does he play at all?
Don't know. In the end, it's just hard for me to bet against a Mike Tomlin team with a pretty healthy Ben Roethlisberger. Just hard to bet against him. It's just too much.
We're going to, the offensive line is going to be the telltale. Can they open holes for Najee Harris, and can they protect Big Ben?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the key skill. They lost some firepower on the offensive line. Pouncey is on the cusp. Pouncey is right there at a Hall of Fame level with all the Pro Bowls and the All-Pro appearances that he has on his resume.
Yep.
Villanueva's gone to the Pro Bowl. DeCastro was one of the better guards. And the Steelers like, no,
Hey,
moving a different direction.
Ben can dink and dunk with the best of them.
That's
He can.
the
No,
thing.
seriously.
But yeah, at some point you got to push the ball down the field, Skip.
All right. Well, I'll bet he will on occasion.
Well, guys, after